I have taken a lot of sacrifices in my life. I have done things, I have made decisions where I put myself in very uncomfortable situations. So uncomfortable that it did break me down. But when I look back at sacrifices I made, I realized that breaking down had actually made me a much bigger person. What was really challenging is that getting through that period. Because when you make sacrifices, you don't know how long the duration is going to affect you. For me, the sacrifice resulted in a long period of pain. So it really depends on how ready you are, and really depends on what kind of sacrifice it is. But when I look back, it is such a significant impact on me. It resulted in me having a permanent change in myself. The decision I made for sacrifice was always, first of all, because I was making a decision that was led by God. If the decision was based on a human being, I don't believe that I would be able to become what I am today. So I had to use discretion, that it was based on God first and everything else was secondary. And if I could actually make that decision, then I would be able to know that it is the right step forward. Through that, I went into this, you could say, discovery of this quantum soup within me, which was part of God. The quantum soup which is undefinable. There is no definition. That discovery and sacrificing by taking myself away from normal routine, taking myself away from being around too many people, taking myself away from comforts. I was moving away from that normal life where I would want things to be simple, straightforward, and I would also focus on me. But You-ism doesn't really work. You-ism is based on the linear mind. Linear mind is 3D, but we is based on selflessness, and selflessness is in line with the attribute of God. And the attribute of God is far beyond 3D, 4D, and well, there's no limit, and we can't even imagine. So when you focus on we are taking the step towards sacrifice. If you are into You-ism, you will never consider sacrifice. That's how I made my decision. I would decide based on being led by God, and I would also focus on we, the community, on selflessness, on the attribute of God. At the same time, I would not let go of self-love, because God wants us to love ourselves. God is love. So there is this fine balance between selflessness and self-love. You can actually practice both. As we grow in wisdom, we will be able to know how to make decisions that are selfless and at the same time practice self-love. There are some times where we will have to be a little selfish, but those times we may think that we're being selfish, but actually it's not. It is to help the other person grow. Discovering those boundaries, where to place those boundaries. Always placing God first in everything we do. Second, I would say, is family. And then third would be everyone else. I realized that even though it resulted in some people feeling that, hey, Tahira made these sacrifices and she spent less time with us, they understood later on that it was for the better. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake, for God's sake, will save it. So I felt that through making those decisions, I was saving my life, as I took decision to follow what God had planned for me. Many times, most people are not going to understand decisions you're going to make. They think that you are going against them. When I decided to become an author, I got a lot of resistance. I did. And people said to me, you're going to be a failure. You are taking the wrong path. You were a somebody and now you're going to be a nobody. But I knew that God had this plan for me, and I was willing to make that sacrifice. Let each of you look not only to his interests, but also the interests of others. We are in this quantum soup. We are in this community. When we focus on others, we really are focusing on ourselves. When I help others, I find that I have a greater joy within me. Those group of people who I know who are depressed, they rarely make sacrifices. They live so much for themselves that they are on top of a mountain and they're sitting there alone. When they realize that ability to give, that's when joy started coming into their life. And our natural state is joy. So it really is interesting, keeping everything for ourselves and can lead to that kind of state of being. And giving away and sacrificing can lead us to that joy and happiness. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to subscribe by clicking above, and also please share this video with as many people as possible so that they can benefit from the message. I also invite you to read my first book, Through the Golden Door, The Doorway to Advancement.